So this weekend, we are being treated to one of the most exciting matchups thus far of the college football season, in my opinion, as Tennessee heads to Norman to take on the Oklahoma Sooners, and this game really does have it all. You have the schematic matchups, you have the storylines of Josh Heupel returning to Oklahoma, where he coached, where he played. What more could you ask for? Well, today we're here to break it all down. We're here to talk about the things you need to be on the lookout for. But before we jump into all of this, y'all know the drill. I've got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Do you believe Oklahoma can pull off the upset at home? Or do you believe Tennessee has this in the bag? I can't wait to hear from you. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below as those interactions are massive. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And I think that the most appropriate place to start in this video is looking at the injury report. Because for Oklahoma, that's been their biggest enemy thus far this season. When you look at Oklahoma defensively, you have an idea of who they are. When you look at Oklahoma offensively, at least me, I don't think I know their identity quite yet, and that's no fault of their own. Whenever you've played musical chairs to the degree Oklahoma has with the offensive line, with the wide receivers, it's hard to really establish an identity, especially this early in the season. But hopefully this weekend, they're going to be well on their way to becoming the offensive team that they wanted to be all offseason. So let's check this out, because not long ago, I made a video asking whether or not OU fans should be worried, should they panic. And my answer was, well, it depends. How soon are you going to be healthy and how healthy are you going to be? So diving into the injury report, you have Branson Hickman and Jake Taylor being questionable. Nick Anderson and Andrell Anthony are probable, as well as Troy Everett and Kendall Dolby. So if you're able to get all of those pieces back for Oklahoma, that's big, especially the guys along the offensive line and out at the wide receiver, because those are the two areas you've been the most banged up. And at the point where you've had three different centers, multiple different guards, multiple different tackles, you need continuity at that position. One of the things that the offensive line requires to be successful is to gel as a unit, which requires continuity. How many times have we seen an offensive line start off the year and they may not look like a great offensive line? They look serviceable. By the end of the year, they're playing like an entirely different unit. That's because they've gelled, especially when you are replacing so many guys along the offensive line. And even guys that have snaps in college football. That's awesome. That's great. That experience absolutely matters, and I'm not taking away from that. But do you have experience as a group in game action? Well, for Oklahoma, they don't. And that's actually my biggest concern for them in this game. Because everybody wants to talk about Tennessee's offense, but Tennessee's defense is no slouch either. And whenever we look, we have to first talk about Tennessee's injury report, where Lance Hurd is questionable, and that's a big thing for them. They really want him in this game. Let's start there with Oklahoma's offense against Tennessee's defense. What does Oklahoma have to do? What does Tennessee have to do? Well, for Oklahoma, it really starts with the continuity of the offensive line. You have got to not only give Jackson Arnold time, but probably more importantly, in my opinion, OU has to establish a run game. Jackson Arnold is a young quarterback. He is still very much well in the learning phase of his career, and that's well and fine. That's to be expected. You need to give him all of the help you can, which means an offensive line that's going to keep him upright, where he's going to be confident in the pocket, and a running game that can alleviate any pressure that Tennessee wants to send. Unfortunately for Oklahoma, you haven't had either of those things thus far this season. Now, I love the running back room at Oklahoma. I think they've got some really intriguing running backs that can absolutely be an asset to this offense, but it's about who's going to emerge as the guy. Right now, it's been a running back by committee situation, and that's fine. We've seen that time and time again across college football, but somebody or the committee has to step up in this game. They have got to be able to keep Tennessee's defense on their heels, because if not, Tennessee's going to go downhill. They're going to attack Jackson Arnold. They are going to make him uncomfortable, and that's not what you want for a young quarterback. So you have got to be able to establish some semblance of a rush game. Now, luckily for Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold's a mobile dude. He can absolutely hurt teams with his legs. You would like the running backs to be a bigger part of it, but right now, Jackson Arnold's the leading rusher for Oklahoma. These running backs have got to get involved from a play calling standpoint. And being healthy at the offensive line, we talk about it helping Jackson Arnold. It will help these running backs as well, because so far the run blocking has left a little bit to be desired. So that's where Oklahoma has got to start establishing something, is the running game. Now, if you were able to establish that, you need to have some semblance of a threat of a downfield passing attack. And listen, I'm not saying that you need to be throwing it deep every other shot. Not my contention at all. But one of the things you need to do is keep a defense honest. If you can start running the football, it puts them on their heels, and you need to be active in the passing game. Well, one of the ways you can make sure that a defense is respecting what you're bringing as an offense, if they know, hey, we might blitz, but now that we're in man, they could hit us over the top. Oklahoma has the wide receivers to do so when they are healthy. Anderson is a guy that averaged a lot of yards last year. Deion Burks is as athletic as they come, but right now, the passing game for Oklahoma has all been short, and that's all well and good. That's a great way to keep drives going, to keep going down the field, but you want to be able to hit a home run when you need to be able to hit a home run, to keep that defense honest. Because if they're keeping everything in front of them, they're all too happy doing that. So you have got to establish the run, you have got to establish the passing game and the threat of a deep passing game. Even if you don't hit the shot, take the shot, right? If you get in good field position, 2nd and 4, take the shot. Because you have a favorable 3rd down where you're less than 3rd and 5. Your 1st down has been successful. You just need to keep this Tennessee defense honest, because to kind of call back to something we already said, the Tennessee offense gets all the love, and I understand why. They've been high flying. It's like watching alley-oops over and over and over again. But that defense has been solid, and they certainly have the pieces. And James Pierce is a guy that probably hasn't put up the stats thus far that so many people expected, but he also hasn't played as much football as I think some of people may have thought he would have through 3 games. The reason hasn't been injury as far as I'm aware. The reason has been Tennessee is killing teams by the 3rd quarter, and there's just no point. Football is a physical game. You want to keep him healthy. He's a phenomenal football player. I think James Pierce is going to be a center point for this defense come Saturday. Why not? It's the biggest game Tennessee has had thus far. It's the biggest game Oklahoma has had thus far. OU's biggest opponent was Tulane. Tennessee's biggest opponent thus far was NC State in a neutral site, albeit it was in Carolina. But Tennessee's first true road game. Oklahoma's first true powerhouse team. And when I say powerhouse, I do mean in terms of being power 4. I know Houston was power 4, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not meaning powerhouse as in, hey, they've won X amount of national championships in the past few years. I mean powerhouse as being this is an SEC opponent. And it's OU's first SEC game while being in the SEC. This game really has it all. So Tennessee's defense is going to want to keep Jackson Arnold uncomfortable. And if OU doesn't establish a run game, that's where this could get ugly. Because for Oklahoma, you want to keep your defense on the sideline. And I know that might sound counterintuitive, but by keeping your defense on the sideline, the reverse of that is you're keeping Tennessee's offense on the sideline. You want to extend drives. And if you don't have the running game, extending drives becomes that much more difficult. But let's flip the script. Let's talk about Tennessee's offense against this Oklahoma defense, because to me, this is the matchup that I can't wait to watch. When you talk about Tennessee's offense, you have to understand the veer and shoot. And there have been so many people explain this so well. So I'm not going to go into all of the details, but I will give you the basic premise. They want to spread you out wide. They want to go quick. They want you to be in man-on-man, one-on-one situations. They make it really difficult for you. And this year, when you look at the running back ability they have, and Dylan Sampson gets all the love, and deservedly so. He's averaging almost 8 yards a pop right now, 7.9. But Deshaun Bishop is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, he's been at 10.1 yards per carry. Suffice to say that the Tennessee running back room has been fantastic. And Dylan Sampson, don't get me wrong, I'm certainly not trying to take anything away from him. He has had a hell of a year, and Tennessee's offense is exponentially more dangerous when the running game is as dangerous as it's been. But if they can start running the ball and teams have to load the box, it gets real tricky. Why? Because their wide receivers are real far out and they don't let you get comfortable on defense. They are going to go. They are going to push the pace. It's going to be hard to make adjustments whenever they're going as fast as this offense likes to go. And if you start stacking the box, those guys can't get out and help whenever they throw it out wide because there's too much space to cover. And this Tennessee offense, they'll hit you at every level in the passing game. They'll take the short, they'll take the intermediate, and they love to go deep. And they've got the speed to do it. This veer and shoot offense is something you don't see every day. Now, luckily for Oklahoma, you just had an offensive coordinator who was utilizing some of these concepts in Jeff Lebby. So you do have a bit more of a familiarity with it. If you're Brent Venables, you also know Josh Heupel. So that will help. If you're Oklahoma's defense, for me, step one, and you've heard it before, I'm not the first one to say this, so I certainly don't claim to be the first one to say this. You gotta take away this running game, and you can't stack the box to do it. You have got to pool all the resources you can to helping out your defensive backs. Why? Because they spread you out so much. So you have got to be able to stop the running game pretty much well in a man-and-man situation. The moment you start stacking that box is the moment Tennessee is going to shift formations, pull some motions, get their guy on a one-on-one with a safety or a slot corner, and if they like that matchup, they're going deep. We've seen it before. As an Alabama fan, I could write a book on how they did it to Alabama that year because Alabama couldn't stop them. All game long. They had a guy that ran like a 400-meter dash. Not really, but you get my point. They would isolate a safety and go deep. This Tennessee offense loves to attack. That is their mindset. Attack, attack, attack. They know nothing else. But luckily for us, the college football fans, the consumers, you're playing a defense that has been real good, specifically in their front, which is what makes this such a great matchup to me, is that Oklahoma's defensive front has been as advertised. Danny Stutzman's playing like a man possessed right now. He is going to be key to stopping this Tennessee rush attack, and that's really the beauty of this matchup. Oklahoma's offense against Tennessee's defense is a fun matchup in terms of will Oklahoma be able to establish an identity? How will Tennessee take advantage of the lack of continuity that they have had? But the real schematic treat in this game is Heupel's veer and shoot offense that's been so dangerous this year against Brent Venables' defense that has been so improved since he got there. That's the treat for us, the college football fans. So for Oklahoma's defense, how can you affect Tennessee's offense? First down, it comes down to me on first down. You have got to either make them have an unsuccessful play on first down or a negative play on first down. It's all about keeping them behind the sticks, and mostly you don't want them to be in third and short. Tempo is going to be something this Tennessee offense utilizes, and whenever you use tempo, if you can stack successful plays, it gets tough to defend because the playbook starts opening up more and more and more. If you're Oklahoma, you want to take that away, and one of the ways you can alleviate tempo is by getting a tackle for loss, is by getting a sack. Now all of a sudden it puts the offense on the back foot. If you're Oklahoma, first down to me is key. You have got to take away the run. We've talked about that. You can't pool all the resources to stopping the run because they'll just throw it over your head. But first down is key. make Nico uncomfortable. We talked about it with Jackson Arnold, but Nico is a young quarterback as well. I know there's this notion that he's already polished and he's finished. I think the scary thing about Nico is that he, like Jackson Arnold, are still in the learning phase. Now, for those of you that have been around the channel, you'll remember Nico was my favorite quarterback in that class, and I've always said that class was an incredible class for quarterback talent, but Nico was the guy I was like, man, that's the name to watch in my opinion. I think the scariest thing about Nico is that he is still very much well in the learning phase, and he already looks like he's going to be a problem for teams. That's the scary part. But I do believe he's in the learning phase, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He's a young quarterback. So if you're Oklahoma, you got to take advantage of playing a young quarterback that doesn't have all the experience in the world, much like Tennessee is going to take advantage of playing a young quarterback that doesn't have all the experience in the world. That's how Oklahoma's defense is going to have to be successful. Keep Tennessee's offense on the back foot. You've got to have success on first down. You cannot let them get into third and short, because if they do, they're just going to convert. You cannot let them stack successful plays and really get that momentum, because then the tempo is going to be a killer. You need to keep Tennessee and Nico uncomfortable. And a great way to do that is by sacks, tackles for loss, or unsuccessful plays, especially in early down situations. For Tennessee's offense, what do you want to do? Well, it's beat Tennessee, quite frankly. And I know that sounds boring, but you want to beat Tennessee. You want to be able to establish a run game so that you put Oklahoma in a single high safety look so that they account for another man in the box. And if you do that, listen, I like some of the talent Oklahoma has in that back end. I do. I think they've got some dudes back there. But it's very difficult to stop this style of offense if you're in a single high safety and that other safety is having to help out the defensive front and be in the box. It's very difficult to stop. If Tennessee gets that look, no matter how talented the defense they're playing is, they're going to be excited and they're going to try and attack. So this game is truly a treat to us, the college football fan. In terms of a prediction, this week, when the week started, I had Tennessee winning by a touchdown to 10 points. But every day that goes by, to me, that diminishes. To where now I could see this being anywhere from a field goal to a touchdown in Tennessee's favor. And make no mistake, a big part of that is because OU just hasn't been healthy. You haven't been able to establish that continuity and gel on the offensive line. It's one thing to do it in practice. It's another thing to do it in the games. And the injury bug has really affected Oklahoma in a negative way. But I do firmly believe that this is a game that propels the Oklahoma Sooners into the direction they want to go. This is a treat. And I've been ping-ponging the exact score, so I'm not going to give you that prediction. But as we sit here right now, I do believe Tennessee wins the game, but I will say this, I don't think it's as high scoring as a lot of other people believe it to be. I don't see that. I think Oklahoma's offense is going to get some things together, and I think Oklahoma's defense is going to shock some people here with how good they're going to play. But I don't think it would be as surprising as some other people might if Oklahoma pulls off the upset. Like I said, the biggest thing for me for Oklahoma right now is the lack of continuity. And I'm not even worried about the wide receivers needing to gel with Jackson Arnold. To me, that's a little bit different. He had the bowl game with Nick Anderson. He's already had that time. It's the offensive line. That there were so many new faces taking over for that unit last year, and they haven't had the opportunity in a game setting to gel together. That's probably my biggest question for Oklahoma. So as of right now, I would probably take Tennessee, but I would take the under. I believe ESPN has it at 7.5. I would take the under. And I don't know that they're going to get as many points as a lot of people expect them to. I think this is going to be a treat of a matchup, but I also wouldn't be shocked if Oklahoma pulled off the upset just the way this is all going. But can't wait to hear from all of you. What a game we're being treated to. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.